Family, welcome. Great to see you as always. Just want to let y'all know from the get-go, I appreciate your prayers. Um, I really do. There's been a lot going on the last couple of days, and we are grateful for the support, for sure. And just want to let you guys know that if you're still hanging out with Bro Pete, doing his Revelation study, it's a good one. So if we don't have anyone to get started, that's okay. I might just get started. So we've got a lot to go over tonight. We're going to talk about some current events things. We're going to be talking about stuff going on with Hezbollah, stuff going on with in Lebanon, these pagers blowing up. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff going on. And so we have to understand this is going to be a multifaceted, multi-front thing. And of course, with every conflict that's in the Middle East, it's going to escalate. And so it's very unlikely that the stuff that's happening is going to calm down. It's very unlikely that it's going to be de-escalated. It's very unlikely that it's going to be something that someone from the UN decides to put their nose in. All of a sudden, it gets better. So, hey, Josh, I'm doing all right. We've had some crazy stuff going. I would appreciate if you guys could keep praying for my wife and my two oldest daughters. I really appreciate that. That's kind of all I can talk about right now because it's a lot. So thanks for being here. Definitely appreciate that. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna go ahead and get my notes and my life together over here real quick. If you guys didn't know, a couple of days ago, we started seeing cell phones and pagers explode across Lebanon, right? And so there are multiple theories. There's multiple people with multiple different ideas. And basically, it's really one of two camps. Either Hezbollah is destroying its own equipment to cover its tracks and to cover its butts, or it could be a situation to where, the IDF or a foreign player decided that they were going to try to sabotage these comms and stuff. The fact of the matter is, though, is that these were, these things are causing a little bit of damage. So we are absolutely watching biblical prophecy unfold. Whether we're looking at different conflicts in the region, whether we're looking at different end times players moving into place. Here's one too as well, guys. This is recent as well. If you guys didn't see, the UN has demanded that Israel pull out from Palestinian areas within 12 months. And so this is from Bubba News. He did a really good write-up on it. I just want to go ahead and quote him and give him credit because what a treasure this guy is for our ministries, guys. The UN General Assembly adopted a resolution Wednesday demanding that Israel entirely pull out of Judea and Samaria within 1 year, and it called for an embargo on arms that Israel might use in those areas of the West Bank against terrorism. This is a non-binding resolution calling for Israel to end without delay its unlawful presence in occupied Palestinian territory within 1 year, including soldiers and civilians. So because it's non-binding and because it's the UN really operates in kind of two ways. There's binding and non-binding. Non-binding is saber rattling, and binding is we're going to force you if you don't agree. And so, when we're looking at this is more saber rattling. This is more of Jerusalem becoming a cup of trembling. This is more of the same garbage of people who are ruled by Satan trying to take what is rightfully Israel's, and that is directly from the Lord. And so with that, we have to understand that a lot of these escalations, a lot of these conflicts, I think some of them are just kind of run-of-the-mill terrorist attack, but I think a lot of them have to do with geopolitical pressure. And so I think that what happens really, it's like if you guys ever had a younger sibling, and I'll just say it like this, and obviously this is to the extreme, this is just an illustration. You ever have a younger brother or sister that's like, come on, hit me, and then you hit them, and then all of a sudden you're like bad guy number one. This is kind of what it is, but it's to the point where it's like they're going to take pot shots at Israel, these different terrorist organizations. They're going to try to come and intimidate, or they're going to come and try to have acts of violence against them. And then they're going to turn around and basically say, look, Israel is destroying us. Look, Israel is occupying us. Look, Israel is oppressing us. And so it's almost, it's really, really dumb to just say the least. And so, what I would say is that I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there's like clip hits from like Monty Python's Holy Grail, and it's like King Arthur goes and he talks to these peasant people, and they're like, I didn't vote for you. Look, he's repressing me. He's repressing me. And that's like the whole idea of the little clip is that it's like basically gaslighting to where, this guy starts running his mouth and then, someone else puts his hands on him and he goes, look, see, he started, he's hurting me. He's killing me. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here in the Middle East. That's obviously very reductive, what I just said, but really what it is, it's I'm going to keep punching the bear, and when the bear bites my hand, I'm going to say, look, the bear needs to be put down. The bear was unprovoked, and so that's kind of what's going on here. So between the terrorist attacks with Hezbollah, between stuff going crazy in Lebanon, I mean, what's crazy is that like there are pictures, and this is no joke. There are pictures of like people who were in the bathroom and these things exploded, and the toilets they were sitting on are like utterly decimated, like melted porcelain, destroyed. I mean, like crazy stuff. So like this is not a small thing, right? This is not a small thing that happened with these pagers and cell phones. Basically, if you guys didn't know, I think it was 2015, 2016, there was a string of Samsung phones. I believe they were Note 5s. Maybe is what they were, but basically they would explode. And so what happened is Samsung does this mass recall, because what was happening is that these things are like, basically there's enough stuff in here to blow something up, right? And so you'd have it to where like people who are on public transport or on planes or buses or whatever, trolleys, they would just explode. And so obviously looking at the stuff going on in, in Lebanon and everything, according to their health ministry, we're looking at like 500 plus wounded, 14 plus dead. And so, of course, Iran is really upset. They're fuming. They're calling it an act of a declaration of war, because, again, this is serious. I mean, props to the Mossad. I mean, that's a really creative way to kind of deal with terrorists, because you already know that they're pinning their phones and they're already having kind of a leg up on what they're doing. That's why they have such good intel with the Mossad and everything. But it's to the point where like they're able to use these devices that are coordinating terrorist attacks inside of Israeli territory, and they're making them blow up and like take out terrorists. So like, I mean, yeah, it's a little macabre, but at the end of the day, like it gets the job done. So it looks like a lot of the casualties are terrorist related. It looks like there's not been a lot of civilian casualties, if any at all. So the Lebanese army, and Hezbollah, of course, they conduct like this, basically like this safe exploding of these devices to make sure that, no more will explode randomly and stuff. And so it's pretty entertaining to watch, because, it goes from the Mossad blowing up phones to have counter-terrorist measures to now the terrorists are blowing up their own phones just so they don't blow up. Like, you can't make it up. And so this is anything from pagers, radios, cell phones, smart devices, tablets, watches, clickers, headsets, Bluetooth earphones, whatever. And so pretty wild. We look at the Israeli Channel 12 is reporting that the Israeli War Cabinet has given the total approval to Netanyahu and Gallant to start an all-out offense against Hezbollah. So again, we're going to be watching more and more and more and more wars break out, right? Wars and rumors of wars is something that Matthew 24 talks about when Jesus is talking about signs of his imminent return. And so we shouldn't be surprised when we see things like this, right? And so, we've been looking at the Hamas conflict for quite some time in Gaza, and now we've been hearing rumblings and whisperings about a potential Lebanon, and whether you want to call it an invasion or offensive advancement, whatever you want to call it. So this has been in the woodwork for a while. This is not something that is like out of the blue. It's not something that all of a sudden is just happening. This is something that has been going on for quite some time. And so now we're kind of seeing it go to fruition. We're watching the IDF deploying their forces. We're watching Nasrallah in Iran, again, saying that this could be a declaration of war. And this is from their propaganda newspapers, websites. And, Nasrallah says that these are massacres and they amount to war crimes and a declaration of war. And so the rhetoric is hyped up to the extreme. And so Iran has been basically telling Israel that their goal is to push them back to the north. They're trying to get them out of their own territory. And so this is with the UN, kind of saber rattling proclamation of, we want you guys out of Judea and Samaria. So, basically we're having this Middle Eastern axis basically say, look, we want to get you guys out of your own land. We're going to take it from you. And so, Nasrallah is last quoted as saying that Israel received the response that it has not seen since its establishment, hinting at their use of nuclear weapons. If you guys didn't know, Iran has been developing nuclear weapons for a long time now, and then something like 2 months ago, some Iranian military guy went on TV and said, "Yes, we have nuclear weapons, but we don't talk about them. We're not using them yet." So this is not new. There's a lot of people who are like, "They could have them," and then every week it's like they're this close, and then every week it's they're this close, now they're this close, but they have them. Let's just let's just call it what it is. And so there are there are actual threats of them using nuclear weapons now, and so shout out to Bro Keegan, because one of his really funny Telegram posts that he made was beep beep to boom boom as the church is about to go zoom zoom, and that's just poetry right there. So shout out Bro Keegs. So if you guys didn't know too, we'll talk more about the military logistics of this. We're looking at the IDF hitting more than 100 loaded Hezbollah launchers in a series of Lebanese strikes. Good night, Bima. And we're looking also at the fact that the Summit of the Future with the UN 2.0 on the September 22nd and 23rd. So you guys know we were really excited about these meetings last year. There was a lot of talk about, could these be a possible Daniel 9:27 fulfillment? And obviously we're still here, so no. But keep an eye on this thing, because the Lord is coming imminently. And so I'm not going to be someone who says it's definitely this. I'm also not going to be foolish and say, no, it can never be this. And so it fits around the time of Feast of Trumpets. It fits with the Antichrist agenda. So could it be? Maybe. But I'm not going to be the guy who's telling you to go sell your car in your house and, go to Vegas or any other number of exotic destinations so that you can, wait for a rapture party. I think that we're called to occupy until he comes, and that's what we should do. And so this is Sunday, Monday in New York City. This is the Summit of the Future, and its aim is to create the UN 2.0. This is basically the Great Reset's logistical run, right? So think of like an elephant loaded up with paperwork, and it's going to be this conference. And so it's interesting that we could be seeing the summit at the same time as a major declaration from the IDF of war, or from Hezbollah, or from Iran. There's a lot of things that could go on. So if you guys didn't know too, one of the things that, again, I mentioned this before with these terrorists, is that a lot of the times what happens is they seek this identity of like being martyred, even though they're not actually being martyred, right? So it's like if you go in as a suicide bomber and kill a bunch of people in an airport, and all of a sudden, it's like, see, the terrorist was killed brutally in an act of religious expression. And it's like, no, he's shouting Allahu Akbar, praising a demon and blowing himself up, but it's the spin, right? And so the only unfortunate thing about whenever the IDF goes on the offensive like this is that they give this Arab Muslim world kind of an excuse to unite, an excuse to basically chant their martyrdom and all of these things. And if you guys didn't know, there's also a lot of assassinations of high-ranking Hezbollah members and officials. We're going to see more of that, I'm sure, because every time that we go into a major conflict with the IDF, we see in the beginning targeted assassinations of high-ranking officials, whether that's communications directors, whether or not that's terror operations. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that as well. All right. So here's something else that's crazy. Israel is considering assassinating Hezbollah Secretary General Nasrallah. So yeah, that could happen. Crazier things have been done. You guys remember with the helicopter thing, they still said it wasn't the IDF, but I'm not convinced. When the Iranian PM died, was it like 3 or 4 months ago? That very well could have been Mossad. So it's like, is Israel scared to go after top dogs? No, obviously not. And so there's a lot more war to be had. There's a lot more escalation to be had. We're looking at different airspaces being closed. We're looking at logistical operations. We're looking at Hezbollah moving tanks and things like that. We're looking at Israel doing the same thing. So sorry, my dog is out there freaking out. It's been a weird day, guys. We're having a lot of spiritual warfare. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff happening in our home. I'm going to take a second to reset here. We're good, though. So, there's a lot of things. And, of course, you're going to have all of these tying together with these radical leftists, whether you're in Europe or whether you're in the US or whether you're anywhere in the West, really, where every time a terrorist is rightfully killed to stop evil from progressing, all of a sudden you're being told that you're the worst if you're Israel, which is just silly. So we're watching this axis be kind of more and more wound up and more, it's almost like when you've got a dog who's like really aggressive and you're like, you're rounding him up and all of a sudden you just let the leash go, right? So these are the people who were killed today with Ibrahim Akil in Beirut in Lebanon today. You got Hazma al-Rabia, Siraj, Hadraj. Sorry, I'm really bad at this. Abu Yasser, Haj Abu Hussein Wabi, Muhammad Qasim al-Attar, Haj Mehdi, Haj Nineveh, Mehdi al-Boax. So these are more of these kind of high-ranking officials like we're talking about, guys, that are going to be more and more taken out. And so tonight, Netanyahu is, he's going, and I guess I should really say last night, right? Because right now over there, it's like 6 a.m. from where I'm at. So there's security cabinets convening about major escalations and things like that. And so they're preparing for a dramatic escalation according to Israel radar, including a potential preemptive action on Lebanon to prevent a Hezbollah assault. You have to think, guys, we're coming up on October 7th, 1 year anniversary. There's already been rumors and talk of them trying to do another terrorist attack on that day to basically, on the day of mourning and the year of, doing something else to really crush morale and just, cause insanity in Israel. And so, we've got other things going on too. We've got Lebanon shutting down its entire school system for the next week. We're looking at UN human rights organizations calling for investigations into the explosions of the phones and everything, and they're trying to make those responsible take responsibility for the incident, which again is more saber rattling for trying to pin something on Israel. You've got the USS Truman is going to go out to the Middle East to try to help kind of prevent a major escalation. You've got, Netanyahu on Saturday evening saying that his goals are clear and his actions speak for themselves. So we've got a lot of this stuff going on, guys. And really, we could sit here for hours and talk about this. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter video because I'll be honest with you guys, there's just a lot of stuff going on personally right now that I would like to spend some time with my beautiful wife and talk about. But, we have to understand that, again, this is something that we need to understand is that as we get closer to Christ's return, these things are going to happen more and more frequently. It's just a matter of fact. So we can sit here and start shaking in our boots, or we can sit here and understand that God has ordained this from the foundations of the world. He told us what to look for. These things are happening. They're being completed before our eyes. We can take refuge in knowing that he's not a liar. We can take refuge in knowing that he says, before I come back, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. And there are. And so that's comforting. And I think that the only reason that we would have to be nervous or scared or anything like that would be simply if, we didn't know Jesus and didn't believe his word, which obviously if we're here on a Friday night talking about Jesus coming back, there's a low chance that that's the case, right? And so to quote Matthew 26:41, watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. The spirit is willing and the flesh is weak. In our flesh, sometimes we want to kind of freak out or overplan or try to overcompensate. Anytime that there's like a minor or a major thing, it's like we want to go try to see how we can put our own safety and our own well-being in our own hands. There's nothing wrong with being proactive and responsible, but I would just caution you against trying to replace God's provision and his protection in your life. So, absolutely take steps to protect you and your family and be wise and gentle, but, also understand that, God is in control. He's still on the throne. None of this surprises him. It might be shocking to us to see some of these images and stuff coming out of the Middle East, but it doesn't shock him. He knows. And the other thing to understand, guys, is that yes, it's evil, some of the stuff going on out there, but these are the same demons that have been running amok since the fall. And so we have to understand that, these are old demons living in current days. There's nothing new about this. Demons, they wreak havoc. They wreak, violence and destruction. And so this is the same type of behavior that we would see from Babylon or Persia or Assyria or any number of terrorist groups from the Old Testament, and so the spirit of Antichrist is running rampant. The spirit of destruction and chaos is here, but the Holy Spirit resides within us, and that is what matters. And so I'm looking forward to being out of here, man, with no more evil, no more sin, no more hurt. And man, I'm with you there, Joshua. So guys, do me a favor. When the video is done posting, like, share, do all the things, help me out. That always helps out a bunch, getting the message out and whatnot. But then put all your prayer requests, please, not in the chat right here on the live, but go ahead and put your prayer requests in the comment section, because we want to make sure, family, that we're praying for each other. And Katie and my girls and I, we could use some prayer. We're hoping to hear back Monday or Tuesday from HR for the church that I'm trying to go on staff on in Arizona. We're trying to, God willing, I really want to serve with these brothers and sisters over there. So please pray with me for that. If that happens, we're moving pretty quick. And we get to have a fresh start somewhere where, man, I'm excited. I really am. So if you guys could be joining me in prayer earnestly for that, I'd appreciate it. And everyone else, let's just put our prayer request in here. All right. So God bless you guys. I love you. We'll talk soon. Sorry for kind of having this be a shorter video, but we've got some stuff going on and we could really use some prayer for as well. So, we've got the job thing for sure, and moving and provision and all those good things. But then also, guys, in an unspoken way, could you just be praying for myself, my wife, and my oldest 2 daughters as well? So God bless you guys. I love you. When this is done and posted, please put your prayer request in the chat. Help me to pray for you guys. All right. And so God bless you guys. I love you, and we'll talk soon. All right. Good night.